Oh, hi. Didn't see that. Listen, before anybody mentions it, I know my hair looks like that. I'm not proud of it either. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Enjoy the video. Recently, there have been two things that have kept the question of what indie means in the back of my head. The first one came on a quiet Saturday afternoon, one of which I was scrolling through Google News. This is a regular pastime, as I am usually shown new albums from artists I like, creative music videos, or interesting guitar pedals and synthesizers that I know I cannot afford. However, this time was made different by one strange headline about the upcoming Marvel movie, Thunderbolts. Quote, Florence Pugh describes Thunderbolts as an indie A24-feeling assassin movie. This IMDb article immediately grabbed my attention, and not in a good way. Indie? Marvel? The two ideas didn't mesh, especially since the Thunderbolts was shot on a budget of $180 million, compared to the average A24 movie budget being around $9 million. This movie is also being made by Marvel, one of, if not the biggest name in action movies, so it couldn't be indie. Couldn't it? This incident only confused my already muddied perception of what indie meant. Now, indie is traditionally meant in music not having a label or having an indie label. You are independent as a musician. The second incident, however, is what inspired me to write this video. While walking around a record store near me, I stumbled across a vinyl record of the Tortured Poets Department, Taylor Swift's most recent release. I'm not the biggest fan of Taylor Swift, and I didn't really enjoy Tortured Poets Department, which I listened to as soon as it came out. On any other day, I would have just kept looking for a copy of the Radiohead album I had my eye on, but this day was different, just because of a little sticker placed below the record, labeling the section the record was in. It read, Indie Pop. Indie Pop. Now let me remind you, unless you've been living under a rock and have no context about who Taylor Swift is. Billionaire, pop artist, and worldwide phenomenon, Taylor Swift has amassed massive success, including winning a massive 14 Grammys. And having a total of over 102 billion Spotify streams. She's also signed to Republic Records, which originally I was confused by due to the fact that I had never heard of it before. However, a bit of research uncovered the fact that it was a division of UMG, or Universal Music Group, which I definitely had heard of before. This record label, importantly, is not an indie label. So what led people to categorize Tortured Poets Department and Thunderbolts as indie? It's confused me as well, and I've never been quite able to pin down a specific definition of what indie music sounds like. Is it the quality of equipment? I don't think so, because if so, many actually independent groups who invest a lot into equipment would not count. Is indie just the rejection of mainstream? Well, what about the many indie artists who choose to merge with or incorporate? Dude. Okay, cut this out of the... Well, what about the many indie artists who choose to merge with or incorporate trends, such as Emma, signed to an independent record label Amuse, who makes a lot of what would be considered TikTok pop music, which is a very recent trend. So what is indie? I couldn't actually pin it down for a while and almost gave up on the writing of this for any lack of a sensible answer. However, the answer was staring me right in the face this whole time. It really is just dependent on the record label. It is as simple as whether or not you are signed to some sort of independent label. So, why is indie being considered a genre now? My guess for why it's being described as a style is due to the interesting sounds created by certain indie artists that started to become more popular for their ingenuity and unique qualities. However, if you look at a bunch of different indie artists, you realize there isn't just one trait or a set of traits that could tie them all together, except for the fact that they're signed to an indie label. Indie itself couldn't be a genre because every existing genre could be indie. Indie hip-hop, indie rock, indie pop, indie classical, indie ska punk, emo, and indie country all exist. So there it is. The end of the case of what indie means. Thank you for watching. Is what I would say if the most popular genre currently doesn't have those same issues. Pop music is literally just music that's popular, and yet somehow I would consider it a genre. But what is with this perceived hypocritical take of mine? Well, I would consider pop music a genre because pop has a specific set of traits aside from just being popular. This happened due to the fact that people figured out what becomes popular, and those themes became a genre. These themes include its wide appealing lyrics or instrumentation, focus on powerful choruses, catchy melodies, and thievery from R&B. Pop music has a very interesting history you should look into, but I don't want to get into it here. Maybe I'll make a video on it later. What we have learned through all of this research is that indie isn't a genre, and it all depends on the record label. If you want to support indie musicians, a nice place is Bandcamp, and as they are less algorithm focused and allow artists to choose the price of their music. Please support indie artists and their local music scene. It always feels so cool to find a niche artist who makes exactly what you want to hear. Thank you for listening to this. I hope you have a good day. Hi, it's me, Aspen. Do you want to listen to some really cool music I made? Well, you can on Spotify, but also I have a new album called Magic Tricks, which is coming out exclusively on Bandcamp. It's fully instrumental, and I love pretty much every song on it. I'm really proud of what I made, so please give it a listen. You don't have to buy it, you can just stream it. It's awesome, and I really hope you support. But hey, just by watching this video, you've already supported me, so thank you. Good job. I hope you have a really awesome rest of your life. Bye.